Hey there guys, it's Stealth49er here with another episode of my Minecraft Bukkit server tutorial series. In this episode I'm going to be covering the PermissionsEx plugin, and I'm going to be breaking up this video into 4 sections. The first is about the plugin, the second is the installation, third the configuration files, and lastly the commands. And all of these are time linked in the description, and I'll also put section breaks in the video. I'm going to start by talking about the PermissionsEx plugin and why I prefer it over other permissions plugins. And there are a lot of things in this plugin that you may not use all of the time, but when you do need to use them, they are there and they are very useful. The first thing that I really do like about PermissionsEx is that it does have multiple types of backends, so you can either use a file or an SQL database, or MySQL or SQLite, or you can add your own backends to actually save all of the permissions, so it's very flexible there. Also, it has a very in-depth command interface, so you can pretty much control the entire plugin from in-game using commands. There's multi-world and per-world permissions, so you can do per-world or you can just have multi-world all in one file. There's also very easy ways to migrate from other permissions plugins to PermissionsEx, and it does make it easier if you are coming over from a different plugin. Now on to the installation. You want to go to the PermissionsEx Dev Bukkit page, which is linked in the description, and you want to scroll down and find the download link and click that. Now once you're on the changelog page, click the other download link at the top right and save it on your desktop. Now go to your desktop and you want to open up your Bukkit server folder, wherever that is, and drag the PermissionsEx jar into the plugins folder. Now go ahead and run your server, and you should see some information about PermissionsEx running once it starts up. You can see it sort of was a bit fast, but it does say it right here and also right here. So you can go ahead and stop your server, and now we will move on to the configuration. Now onto the configuration portion of this tutorial. You want to go into your plugins folder and your PermissionsEx folder inside your Bukkit server and open up the config.yml. I'll be using Notepad++, which I highly recommend, and I will leave a link to in the description below. You want to open up the config file, and you can see there's a few different settings here. So the first one is the multi-server use net events setting, and if this is set to true, if you are using a bungee cord or multi-server setup, then it will post information about the permissions changes on those servers. Onto the permissions section, the debug option, if set to true, will post more information in the console about PermissionsEx, so if you're having some issues with the plugin, this is a good way to diagnose it. Allow ops will allow ops to have all of the permissions, no matter if they do not have all the permissions in the permissions file. If they're an op and this is set to true, they will have everything. It basically overrides the permissions for those people. User add groups last will add a user's group if you try to type in the command /pex user, the user's name, group, and add, and it will add their group to the end of their permissions. The log players option, if set to true, will log player info so that if you try to use the cleanup command, it will know what to delete based on the players that have not been on in a while. Create user records will, if a player joins, create a record for them in the permissions file. Otherwise, anyone that is default will not have a section in the configuration. They will just be default, no extra permissions or anything. The backend option can either be set to file or SQL, and this is whether you want to save it as a file, the permissions, or save it in an SQL database. I will leave information linked in the description about the setup of that. It's a bit difficult to explain to you, but not too difficult at all to set up. Inform players, so if there are changes in the configuration, it will either inform players or not, depending on if this is true or false. Backends, so you set your backend here, and this is how you describe what kind of backend it is. So if it's set to file, then the type is file, and the file for it, this is the name of the file. You can set that to whatever you would like, and you would change this for SQL, and you can have multiple ones, but whatever this is set to is what it will actually use. Updater, if this is set to true, the updater for the plugin will be enabled, so it'll tell you when there is an update, and always update will automatically update the plugin. Next file is the permissions.yml. As you can see, there's just a bit of information in here. So we have the main portion, which is the groups. Now, if you would like to put users in here, what you would do is go down a few spaces and you would type in users and then put a colon. But my suggestion is add a user to the permissions file with the command, which I will get into in a little bit, and just get an example, and then you can add others from copying and pasting it, because the format is a little bit difficult to type in, but because you need the various spaces, but it's not too difficult to figure out. You can just copy and paste it and change the correct things. So the next thing here is default, which is the group name. This is the default setting, so if this is set to true, if you put this in a group, then it will actually make that the default group. So when anyone joins, if they are not already described in the users file or the users portion of the permissions file, then they will be put in this group, and then they'll have these permissions. And the permissions you add to the end of the list, so you just do a dash, and you cannot use tabs in YML files for whatever reason, but you can just type it in. You would usually probably paste it in, it's a little bit easier, but you can type them out, and you would just do like essentials .top or something, and whatever the permission is, and you would continue adding those down the list. There are plugins that you can get that will actually put all of the permissions on your server in the list, so you can select them from there. For the sake of explaining this to you, I have copied and pasted the example permissions from the PermissionsEx wiki, and I want to explain the different options you have here. So the other things you can do are prefix and suffix, and you can set these. So the prefix is what displays before their name. So you would have, say, right here, this would be member, so it would show up as member in the chat with these color codes. These are color codes, the and the number. There's also and letter here. And I will leave a link to the color codes, which are on the Minecraft wiki. And you can figure those out. It's just a list, and you just kind of have to put them in however you'd like. But this will be the prefix in the chat for anyone who is in the member group. The options and rank is the higher the rank number is compared to the other ones, so it doesn't actually have to be really high, but if it is higher than the others, they are lower on the ranks. So the lower the number, the higher they are in the ranks, and the higher the number, the lower they are, so the less power they have. So as you can see, the regular member is 900, VIP is 800, and moderator is the 100 setting. Inheritance, which you can see we have here and here, are which permissions or which groups the group, whichever one it is under, inherits permissions from. So you can see that the moderator group inherits permissions from the VIP group, so they would have this permission as well and this permission. But there's a little bit of a catch with this. This right here is just the dash for the permission, and this next dash is actually subtracting the permission from them. So if you want to get rid of a permission, say you have a permission like modify world, let's say modify world, and they have, say they have this right here. They have all of those. This is the select all, so it'll select everything past the dot, so they'd have everything that is under modify world.mob target. And let's say I want to get rid of the creeper setting, then I would put this in here with the minus, and it would subtract that, so they would not have that permission, but they have all the other ones that fall under this. If a permission area is empty. Maybe you just want to give them a prefix. That's all that's special, and you want them to have the same permissions as the group before them. So let's use this VIP group. Let's say that they should have all the same permissions that the member has, and we will actually get rid of these. You would want to put 2 brackets like this, sort of closing the section, just so that it closes it off and there's no permissions. It does get a little confused sometimes if you were to have nothing there, if you just went like this. So just to make sure, if you don't have anything in the section, you either don't need it at all unless it is the permissions section, or you then put the brackets there. The next portion of this video is the commands portion. So if you go ahead and type /PEX, you will see that it will display all of the commands. I'm not going to be covering all of them, but I will be covering some of the important ones. So the first thing is /PEX user, and then the username, check, and the permission name. So let's check to see if I have permissions dot and then the star. And you can see that it says player, the UUID / my username has, and then the permission name, which is permissions.all. And you can see that, let's see if I have something like world edit dot all. Let's just do world edit dot all. It will show that I do not have it because I in fact do not have that permission. Next is the /PEX reload. This reloads the permissions plugin. /PEX backend will display the backend that you're currently using. I am currently using the file backend, and it says file backend configuration file. Then we have PEX and hierarchy, and if we do this, if I can spell it correctly, it will show the hierarchy of the various different groups. So there's the default group, the member group, and the VIP group currently. Whatever you have set up, it will display there. /PEX import, and then the backend, and this is either the file or the SQL, depending on what you have set. If you want to import permissions, I don't have any example of this, but you would import permissions like that if you needed to import something from a different backend. /PEX users and cleanup, and then you would have the group name. So let's do default. Will allow you to clean up old users. Now this, because I am the only one here, I did not clean any users up. But if you had inactive users and it decided that they were inactive, I believe it is 30 days, then it would clean them up and remove them from the file. Not remove them from their group, but just remove them from the file so they're not taking up file space. /PEX worlds will allow you to see the worlds that permissions is being used on. The worlds that are showing up are the ones that permissions actually registers. So if there is a world that's not on here that you do have, or you believe you have installed, it may not actually be installed correctly if permissions cannot view it. /PEX and users will allow you to see the currently registered users. And again, I'm the only user on, but you can see that it has the UUID and my username and then the group. Next is /PEX user, the username, and then prefix. So if we type in prefix and then put a prefix, let's say like YouTube guy, and actually maybe put some color codes in there. I may be able to see this, I hope. There you go. You can see that my prefix is now YouTube guy Dils249er. And that will just show up, and the and6 was just like the goldish orange color that you can see there. Same thing with the suffix. If you do /PEX user, username, suffix, and then the suffix, let's just do episode. It will set that to my suffix, so let's just say hello again, and you can see that my suffix is now episode. So that goes after the name, because suffix, after, and prefix is before the name. So you can set those however you would like. You can put spaces, things like that. /PEX user, and then username and delete will delete them from the file. And I'm not going to do this right now because it'll mess up all my permissions that I have set up, but you would be able to delete a user from the file. Next is the permission add command. So if you do /pex and then user, and then the username, then add, and the permission name. So let's do essentials.all, and let's add it in the world, just world. And you don't need to specify a world. If you don't, then it'll just be a global permission. But let's specify a world and do that, and you can see that it says that it added that permission and it added it to me. So now if I go ahead and do let's say /cell, it will allow me to use the command, will not give me an error message that I don't have permission. Next is /pex user, username, remove, and then the permission. So let's remove the essentials.all permission. Then we can remove that, and it'll say that the permission was removed. The next is /pex user, username, timed, add, and then the permission name. So let's do essentials.all, and this will add a permission for a certain amount of time. This is in seconds, so let's set it for 300 seconds. That'll be good, and set it for that. Now we will have that permission for 5 minutes. So the seconds, I don't know why they picked that, but it is seconds, which is a little interesting, but you can add a timed permission to a user. Next is /pex user, and then the username, group, set, and then the group name. So let's set ourselves to the VIP group, like so. So now if we do /pex hierarchy, and then you can see that we are in the VIP group. Our UUID is kind of moved down to the VIP group. Next is the pex user, username, and then group, remove, and then the group. So let's remove ourselves from the VIP group. Now you can see that if we go back here, I am back in the default group. Next is the /pex, then set default group, and then the group name, let's say member, and then we will do the value. So let's set that to true. They will be the default group, and then we won't specify a world, and we can do that. So now you can see the group, and then the member, which is the name, is now default in world, and that is null because that is all worlds. If you did put a world in there, it would say the world name. Next is the /pex group, and then the group name. So let's call it admin, and we will create, we can create the admin group, and that will create it in the permission. So now we have an admin group here, and let's go ahead and put ourselves in the admin group. So if we do /pex and then user, then the username, group, group, set, and admin, we will be in that group, and we can do /pex hierarchy, and you can see we are in the admin group. Next we have /pex promote and then user, so that'll be us, and then the ladder. So let's say the ladder would be 100. That there's those rank numbers. Now we can't actually do that because you have to be in the same ladder, and also we can't promote ourselves. So that's how you would promote someone. Usually what I do is just pex promote and then the name, and then I sort of just go up a group, but you can actually do it a little bit faster if you do put in the ladder number. And then the same is pex demote, then the username, and then we can actually demote the user, but again, we can't because we're not in that ladder, and also I can't demote myself. So that's really about it for the important things, or the ones that I found important for PermissionsEx. There's other commands. I will leave a link to all of the commands. There's tons of them. Also, they're in the /pex command. You can see all of the different commands here. I don't even know if they all fit in here. They might just fit. But yes, that's all of the various commands. So that is going to be the end of this tutorial. But if you did find this helpful, a like and a favorite would be greatly appreciated. Also, share it with your friends. It does really help me out, and I do really appreciate it a lot. And if you're not already, make sure you follow me on Twitter, like the Facebook fan page, and follow me on Google+. All of the links are down in the description below. And if you're new to the channel and you do enjoy gaming, tutorials, and reviews, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching.